Hi, Peter Salemi, and welcome to part 3 of this video series. We're talking about the 4 beasts of Daniel, the 7th chapter. Last time we saw that the second beast, which was represented as a bear, that second beast, the bear represented the Persian Empire. Huge in size, brutal to its enemies, just like a bear. Now we're at the third beast in this succession of empires. Remember, they come one after another. The first empire was the Babylonian Empire. That came to its end, and it was taken over by the Persian Empire. Now the Persian Empire comes to its end. Then comes a third beast. Now we're going to show you this clip of the vision that Daniel saw, a creature coming out of this sea. And of course the sea represents, in Revelation the 17th chapter, the sea represents a sea of people. So here we see out of the sea of people, another beast comes up and it's going to take over from the bear. Take a look at this clip.
After this I looked, and there was another like a leopard, which had on its back 4 wings as a bird. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
All right, so there's the vision that the prophet Daniel saw. Another kingdom was going to arise and take over from the bear, which is, of course, the Medes and the Persians. And, of course, this corresponds to Daniel, the 2nd chapter, the image in the plain. Daniel 2:39, here the prophet Daniel says to Nebuchadnezzar, "After you shall arise another kingdom inferior to you." That's the chest and arms of silver. And of course, that is the Medes and the Persians. And then it says, and another, a third kingdom. Remember, this is succession. A third kingdom of brass, which shall rule over all of the earth. Now, what kingdom took over from the Medes and the Persians? Well, we can just go to Daniel, the 8th chapter. In Daniel 8, here the prophet Daniel sees another vision. He sees another vision of a ram and a goat. And he says in verse 5, he says, "I was considering, and behold, a he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between its eyes." And of course, we see the ram with 2 horns, one higher than the other. And then in verse 20, it shows the interpretation. It says here in verse 20, "The ram which thou sawest, having 2 horns, are the kings of Media and Persia." So we know that the ram represents the Persian Empire. Now in verse 21, it says, "And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power." So here we see that the king of Greece has a notable horn, which is its first king, but then it splits in 4. And here we see in Daniel, the 7th chapter, and verse 6, we see a leopard. It has 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. We compare Daniel 2, Daniel 8 with this. It's obvious that the third kingdom that was going to take over from the Medes and the Persians was, of course, the Greco-Macedonian Empire. And that's exactly what happened in history. You've probably seen the movie 300 with Gerard Butler, and of course it showed the Battle of Thermopylae. And at that time, in 480 BC, the Persian Empire was heading westward, as it plainly says here in Daniel, the 8th chapter, that the ram was pushing west. Verse 4 of Daniel, the 8th chapter, was pushing west. And this was in 480 BC. It was pushing west, and here we see, of course, the Battle of Thermopylae and other battles that were taking place. And Xerxes couldn't conquer Greece, and that started the beginning of the fall of the Persian Empire. It stopped expanding at that time, and it was starting to fall. And so we see now, during the time of Alexander the Great, he had a very small kingdom, which is why it's represented as a leopard. A leopard is a very small animal, and let me just read this to you from this source. Notice what this source says. A leopard is a predator that is very smart and cunning when it comes to survival. It's fast, stealthy, sneaks up on its prey, and then suddenly pounces on it. And like I said, the leopard is very small. And of course, the Persian Empire was a huge empire represented as a bear. When you look at this map, you see how small Greece was and how big the Persian Empire was. And this is why the Bible presents these empires as a bear and a leopard. And when you look at when the Alexander the Great started his conquests into the Persian Empire, he had 50,000 soldiers, well-trained soldiers. And in history.com, it says it is estimated that King Darius III of Persia, under his command, had a total of 2.5 million soldiers spread across a vast empire. So here we see, of course, the bear, huge in size, against the leopard, which is small in size, but swift and speedy. And back to history.com, it says this: knowing he would be outmatched in manpower, Alexander relied on speed and distraction. And he would draw enemy troops toward one flank, then wait for a momentary gap to open up in the center of the enemy lines for a head-first cavalry charge. So he was cunning, he was smart, just like a leopard, small, swift, just like a leopard, and of course conquered the Persian Empire. And this is why we see it says here that it had wings, 4 wings of a fowl. In just 12 years, here the Jameson, Fawcett, and Brown commentary says, in just 12 years, he conquered much of Europe and all of Asia. And that's from the Jameson, Fawcett, and Brown commentary. So it was the empire, the Greco-Macedonian Empire was very, very swift, very, very fast, cunning, just like a leopard. And then it says that the beast also had 4 heads. After the Alexander the Great died of a mysterious illness in Babylon, after that, his empire was split in 4. It was split in 4 by Cassander, who took over Greece and Macedonia, Lysimachus, who took over Central Asia. Then we have the Ptolemies that took over Greece, and then we have the Seleucids who took over Syria. And of course that split the empire in 4. So here we see a leopard with 4 heads. And this prophecy exactly describes the Greco-Macedonian Empire. So we know now that the leopard with the 4 heads represents the Greco-Macedonian Empire. Now, of course, if you want to know more, I urge you to log on to our website, britishisrael.ca, and get our booklet, What is the Beast of Revelation? It's only $10, and just fill out the PayPal form, and when we get the email with the order, we will send the PDF file into your email inbox within 1 business day. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And don't forget, if you want to, join the membership of this YouTube channel to help support this YouTube channel. This is Peter Salemi saying goodbye, friends. I'll see you here next time on the Watchman program.